Welcome to RizFPV Pen and Tilt design for Reptile Dragon. This is the video how to assemble the pen and tilt design that you can download from Cult for a small donation. And this is a full instructional video to show from start to finish how to build it, the flight footage, and everything in between. All right, I'm going to demonstrate the assembly of the pen and tilt design. There are total of about 11 parts you need to print. If using DJI O3 unit, you don't need this particular holder. This one is for Cadex Vista camera and other camera type. The other two parts named O3 antenna, which is this one, it's print from TPU, and this saddle, PTX saddle, they are optional and they're only there if you wish to mount the VTX on top of it and the antenna, and I'm going to demonstrate that as well. Now, as far as the tools, you need 1.5 millimeter drive and Phillips screwdriver, also a 2 millimeter drill bit to clean out the holes, specifically this particular hole that does the tilting mechanism. What you also need is two servos. The link I have provided down below. One of them is 270 degrees and the other one is 180 degree movement. Make sure you use the screws that came with the servo to mount the servos and these two screws to mount the pinion spur gear to these two. You are going to need total of about 6 of these M2 self-tapping 6 millimeter long screws. Another M2 screw, total of 6. This one is 8 millimeter long, and then M2 screw, 2 of them to mount the camera, and these are 12 millimeter long. The first assembly is to assemble the pen, which is a 270 degree servo, and mount right here with 2 screws. The next step is to mount the pinion gear. There's 2 pinion gears. This one has, if you look closely, splines for the servo, but you are going to have to press this one in and make sure that there's no 3D printed residue left over on the other side because the screws that comes with the servo are a little too short. These 2 gears, and what you have to make sure is you see these 2 screws, screw holes right here. You have to make sure that they are aligned in kind of a straight 90 degrees, so when you mount this piece it's facing forward because that's the orientation of the camera. I'm going to use the M2 8 millimeter long screws to mount this piece. Oops. So there you have it. And if it's slightly misaligned, if you see slightly one above or the other, that's okay. It's gonna vary from print to print just a little bit, but there's enough compliance to allow these two gears to mesh and not disengage. And the next step is to mount the other servo. And what I've done here is made it sure that this particular servo wire, because it's going to be rotating, doesn't have any tanglement, so I provided this hole here to feed the cable through. That way you don't have to do any cable management per se. And it's going to go like this. I'm going to mount 2 more screws here, and we'll go to the next step. Now you have the tilt servo mounted. We're going to mount the pinion, which is the half spur gear here. And again, this one has a spline, but it is a press fit, so you may have to press it down a little bit hard to make it go inside and make sure there's no residue left over from the 3D printer that would prevent this little short screw that comes with the servo to go in. Now we got the tilt mechanism mounted and the gear is mounted. The next step is to mount this bracket on top. It fits nicely in between the two tabs, and we're going to use these 8mm long screws to mount this bracket on top. Now at this point we have the pen and tilt assembly completed. We can mount this piece down at the bottom to protect the spur gears, and we're going to do that now. And make sure that this tilting servo cable feeds through one of the holes, and voila. Now here we're going to use these 6mm long screws at the edges to close the gearbox. So here I have printed a dummy O3 camera to show how O3 unit is mounted. And for O3 you're going to need a little bit longer screws, because if you notice there's plenty of gap for the other bracket that I was telling you about, this one that is used for CADX Vista. So you may have to use some washers if you don't want any clearance, but you don't have to, but you do need a little spacer right here, as I'm pointing with my finger right here, that allows this camera to function. So at this point, this whole unit is assembled and the pen is moving freely, and that is it. And in the other video you will see the CADX Vista mounted already on the Reptile Dragon. Oh, the next step, actually I forgot to mention, is the saddle that you can mount here. Make sure the cable is tucked in, and this one can be mounted here with 4 screws to mount the camera here, the VTX here, and then this is the antenna holder that can be mounted here as well. So let me actually assemble this so you guys can see it. So there you have it, with the VTX saddle with the antenna holder that's printed for TPU, and you can mount this one with two screws as shown here, um, going from the top, and then you can put double-sided tape here, put the VTX, or you can put tie wraps also. That's why there's clearance here. And this saddle is mounted with two screws here. I lost actually four screws I dropped somewhere on the floor, and I can't find it at the moment. So there's only one screw there. That's it. Here's the pan and tilt mounted on top of the Reptile Dragon with Runcam Vista Air Unit. If you are using flight controller, make sure to increase PWM values for pan between 500 to 2500 microseconds. This will give you the full 270 degrees range. Next flight footage, link to download STL files are in the video description, and thank you for buying pan and tilt for Reptile Dragon. It can be also used on any other plane. It's